Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started. I want to thank everyone very much for joining me today. Today, we're going to be talking about using Google and Brightspace together. If you have joined this webinar with the same title before, I have revised it based on some things that have been updated within the platform, as well as some new cool tricks I've learned. So even if you've been to this webinar before, it is going to look a little bit different, and hopefully I can share some new things with you. Also, if you know somebody who has been to this webinar before and you think that they'd benefit from today's recording, you can always share it with them as well. Before we dive in too much, I'm just going to introduce myself. My name is Bridget Grogan. I'm a success coach here at D2L. Prior to joining D2L, I was a secondary school teacher. I taught primarily English and family studies. And I joined D2L last year when I was teaching in COVID and thought that I wanted to help other educators figure out how to best use an online learning platform in all modes of teaching. I have my Twitter handle along the bottom there. If you're a Twitter user, please feel free to give me a follow and we can connect on there afterwards. Just some housekeeping items. So you'll notice that the Q&A is open for questions. If you scroll your mouse along the bottom of the screen, you should see the Q&A pod pop up there. I have my lovely colleague Puneet with me today. She will be answering some questions for you along the way. There will also be time at the end for questions. So do not worry if your question does not get answered or if it's something you'd like to see done again. We can have some time at the end for that. Any links that Puneet might need to share out will go into the chat pod. So in the Q&A, links do not always hyperlink properly. So we're going to put those into the chat pod if need be. Please do not put your questions into the chat pod. They can often get lost. So just to make sure that we don't lose any questions, put those into the Q&A. If you leave today with some additional questions or you have a second or third watch at this and you have something come to mind, please contact us at successcoach@d2l.com and we can get you help there. The recording and the slide deck will be available from the Teaching and Learning website later this week for your reference. And this will also be sent out to you since you are joining today's webinar live. You'll get an email from me with a recording and slide deck as well. So our agenda for today, I'm going to talk about using Google in two different spots within Brightspace. So content and assignments, some options for sharing links, resources and next steps, and answering some questions at that point as well. So without further ado there, I'm going to jump into our first agenda item, which is content. So you can use Google items in many places within Brightspace, but today we're going to be focusing on two main spots you'll likely use the most, content and assignments. I will show you announcements a little bit later as well, but just so you know, the workflow, regardless of where you're doing it within the Brightspace editor, is going to be very similar. So starting with content, there's two different workflows you can follow when uploading Google Drive items into content. I'll show you both of these and explain the use case of each. When importing directly from Google, you're going to go to content and then add existing and Google Drive. So if you would like to pull something directly into your content, you will go first to your content, add existing, and Google Drive. It's a pretty simple workflow there. Another option that you have is content to create new to HTML document to Google File embed. So both of these are options to pull in something into content within Brightspace from Google, but you can use those in a bit of different ways. I'm going to show you that now. So I'm just going to jump into my classroom here. So you can see here that I am in my Brightspace classroom. If you're seeing something that looks a little bit different than what you're used to, please let us know and we can try to get you some help with that. It might be something that you have set up differently and we can get you some help there. So I'm going to jump into content. As I said, my content is in my nav bar. I already have a unit here. If you don't have one, all you need to do is click new unit. So the two workflows I showed you again were add existing and pull in from Google Drive or create new HTML and embed. So the first one I'm going to be showing you is add existing and pulling in right from your Google Drive. So I go to add existing. You'll see a bunch of options here and feel free to explore those after today as well. I'm going to go to Google Drive. If I've already logged into my Google Drive through my Brightspace account, this will pop up for me here. Perhaps you might be logged into the wrong one. You can change that there. I can search for the document I'm looking for or just scroll through. And once I've found that, I can pull that in there. And just easy as that, I have this Google document right within here. So as you can see, this pulls in just as it would a document. So if you are doing that workflow of add existing to Google Drive, it's going to pull that document right within there. This will be the same whether it is a Google Slide or Google Doc or anything of that nature. It will pull in just like this. And you can see that it is a document just right within here. One thing to note is that because this is my Google account that I'm logged into, that I pulled in from, I can add in text here and write within it as if it is a live document. Students will not have that ability. Since this will be logged in on a different Google account for them, it will appear just as a document for them there. So they won't have the option to input anything. I'll show you how you can give them access if that's something you would like to do. Okay, so now we've talked about the first way to pull in something is just as simple as that, pull in the item right there. The second thing you could do is go to Create New, HTML document. I'm going to just title this quickly, Content. I'm going to add in my Insert Stuff button. Again, a bunch of options. Go right down to Google File Embed. You'll see the same kind of workflow as we just saw. My Google Drive options come up here. I can pull in the document, attach it. I see a file there, a preview of what that will look like, and I can insert that there. So as you saw previously, when we pulled in right from our Google Drive, we didn't have the option to add in anything. It was just that document. That would be that entire piece of content. If you would like to perhaps use this as a part of a lesson or embed this document into other items, this is when you would use the HTML document and then pull in Google Drive Embed like we just saw. So if I need some more workspace, I can make this bigger. And perhaps I want to say, please read the above document. I could continue building out a lesson, embed as many documents as I would like, do as much as I need in this HTML document. And you'll see that the Google Doc is here as well. So it's just a matter of what use case you're using it for. I'm going to unhide this and save it there. So you can see now that we have two different ways that we've pulled in from Google Drive. So here I have it pulled in directly and it's just the document standing alone, which is great if you would like the document to be front and center and the only piece that students are looking at. But if you have a little bit more for them to be doing within this, you can embed it right in here. You'll see that they still can see the entire document as well as anything else you'll add within here. We're going to take a look at what this looks like from the student view. So I'm going to go to View as Student. Keep in mind my content setup here might look different than yours. That's something we can help with as well if you have any questions about that. But what I want to show is what this looks like from the student view. So go to the spoken word poetry lesson we pulled in here. I'm just going to quickly switch accounts, the magic of that. And you'll see now logged in as a student account. If I click into this document, I don't have the options to edit it. I can request edit access, which we'll talk about if that's something you'd like your students to be doing. They do have that button there. But here, if you just pull it in right from Google Drive, students can pull up the document in a separate tab, and they don't have the option to edit it or change anything that you have done. If you would like students to view it this way, again, it is embedded here. They cannot make any changes, but they can see the lesson as you've written it. So whatever workflow you choose to go with or whatever use case you are using it for, both work very well. I'm just going to go back to content there and stop viewing as student. So now that we've talked a little bit about content and the ways that you can pull in from Google Drive there, I'm going to jump back to our slides here and talk a little bit about how you can do this in assignments. So with assignments, it's very similar to content. You have the same options for pulling in items from Google Drive, but it just might be some different use cases. So I'm going to show the same two ways, as well as one additional way that you might want to use with assignments. With assignments and using Google Docs, I also want to share that best practice and effective practice is to have a file submission to get students into the habit of downloading and submitting a file if they have the availability to do that. You can also use a text submission if they're submitting a link. So today, for the purpose, I'm going to be showing you file submission because students do still have that comment box, so they can still put in a link if they need to as well. We also often get questions about seeing students work in real time and how can you do that? So if you would like to do this, just have them share the link for their Google Doc with you as they're working along. So with all of that said, using Google Docs in assignments, very similar workflow as to content. You'll go to assignments, new assignment, and pull in from Google Drive, or assignments, new assignments, insert stuff, Google File, embed. So let's take a look at what that looks like. I'm just here back on my classroom, and this time I'm going to go to my assignments. Mine again lives in my assessments folder. Yours might be somewhere different. Just be mindful of that. And I don't have an assignment created yet. For the sake of today, I'm going to be creating 3 assignments to show you the different workflows. So new assignment. And don't worry about the rest of the settings for an assignment. You can get very detailed with that. And we do have other webinars talking about assignments if you need some more help with that. But first, we're going to look at importing right from Google Drive. So attach from Google Drive, very similar workflow to that we saw with content. I can pull in the same document and it attaches right there. Again, I could continue building this out. You'll see I'm leaving it as a file submission, and I can make this visible. So I could add instructions. I could do more that I need to here, but just for the workflow of showing you pulling in from Google there, we're going to save and close this assignment. And as simple as that, we have that assignment created with our Google Drive document attached there. The second way that you can use Google in assignments is to go to new assignment again. I'm just going to call this one assignment 2, getting really crafty with my names here. And this one, again, very similar to our content. Can make this bigger. Go to my insert stuff button. Google File, embed, same workflow we saw with content. Select file. Always likes to go onto my other screen. I can pull in that same document, attach it. I get a preview of what that's going to look like and insert that there. So again, this will be embedded right within their instructions text box. So I can say, please do the above assignment, add in more detail, continue to build out this assignment as needed. And you'll see here that it is embedded right within there. Make this visible again and save and close. And the last way that I'm going to show you is a little bit different. So the way I'm going to show you now is if you would like to make a copy for students so they have their own copy of the document as they're working, you can do that as well. So if I go to, again, new assignment, promise this is the last time, assignment 3. What I'm going to do now is in the instructions text box, I'm going to grab the link of the document that I would like them to use. So if this is the document that I would like them to edit, have their own copy of, and make their assignment on, I'm going to grab that link. I'm going to go here, just paste that link. And to force a copy for students, it's as simple as changing the word edit to copy. Okay, another thing that you could do is use this quick link button here and pull in from Google Drive as well. So there's a bunch of different options of what you can do. We're just going to focus right on this one right here, but you can make it a little bit cleaner and quick link in there. And I'm going to make this visible. And again, not change anything else there and save and close. So now we have 3 assignments with 3 different ways of using Google within our assignments in Brightspace. This one here, we've attached our Google document right there. This one, we've embedded it into the instructions. And this one, we'd like to make a copy for each individual student. So again, I'm going to show you what this will look like from the student view. So as a student, I'll go to my assignments. And you'll see I have assignment 1 here. And my attachment of spoken word poetry pops up. Again, logged in as myself. It gets a little bit tricky when you're doing it all yourself, but students would go right to this screen and have it as a document for them just to view or navigate through. And again, they have that option to request edit access if needed. So that is how you can do it if you would like it attached, and then they can add their file. And you'll see they still have that comment box to insert a link if they would like. We have assignment 2 here where the instructions were embedded right within our instructions box. So here I have my Google Doc embedded right within here. Please do the above assignment and add a file and my text box there. And then my last assignment, where I have my link here that has the word copy now. So I'm going to, typically students again could just click right on that link. Because I'm using all the same Google account today, it's not going to like that very much. Oh, just going to go, whoops. It's not letting me copy that. There we go. And I'm going to put in the link there. And students will get this pop-up. Would you like to make a copy of spoken word poetry? Students can select make a copy, and they'll have their own version of that document. So if you would like to see students moving along through it and see what work they're putting in along the way, you can have them share the link with you and you can see that. Again, it is effective practice to still leave it as a file submission because then students can submit a file. You'll have a timestamp of when it was due, what they had at that time. They can still put in the link and you can see their progress along the way. So there's 2 workflows for you there. And I'm just going to cancel that. So now we've seen 3 different ways to use Google within assignments and some different use cases for that. With that all being said, I'm going to jump back to my slideshow yet again. Sorry about all the back and forth. And now I'm going to share some different ways that you can accomplish some things within Brightspace using Google. So if you want to have students view a file or navigate through a file, which we saw where it was just open in a separate document for them to look through. You can do this by adding a link to the file by inserting a quick link and sharing using an embed code. So either one of these will work. I'm going to show you what this will look like. Again, back in the class, this time I'm going to be doing it as an announcement. And here I'm in my announcement. I'll create a new one. I'm just going to call this one announcement. My titles are not very pedagogical today, but I'm going to insert a quick link here. So I can go to insert quick link, my Google Drive, pull in that same document that we have been seeing, and I can have that right here for students to look at. So this means that they'll be able to view and navigate it, but not make any changes to it. Also, if it's an announcement and maybe I'd like it to be something they can look at, or perhaps they have a slideshow or a Google slide, can again go to insert stuff, Google file, embed, select my file. Let's see. Oops. There it is. Add that in, attach. And I have that document embedded as well. So you'll see the workflows are all the same, no matter where you are doing it. I'm going to publish this announcement. And now when I go back to my home page, I have this announcement here. If your announcements take up more of the real estate on your home page, this will be bigger. You can also click into this to take a look. So I have my link out to this document that we've been seeing, as well as it embedded here. Okay, so if you would like to just have students view or navigate, using a quick link or embedding is a great way to do that. Another great thing that you can do, if you would like to have students edit a file, you can quick link to the document and have students request edit access. That button I mentioned before. You'll be notified when they have done this, and you can give them access or deny it depending on what you would need. Just be careful of this because that means students can put in their own information and write what they need to in there. And making a copy for each student. Again, we talked about this one. Just add a modified link to the file by inserting a quick link, and you can change that end word from edit to copy. If you insert a quick link, it'll be much cleaner than having the clunky link there. In the link URL, just change that word and it will force a copy to be created for each student on their own individual Google Drive. Just make sure that students are organizing their own Google Drive once they have access to that, and it's a little bit cleaner in there because it can get a bit clunky. If you would like to see students working on the Google Doc throughout their time with the assignment or content or whatever it may be, have them share that link with you so you have that access there. Just some things I want to note that I've mentioned, but I just want to highlight. All files added from Google Drive are view only by default within Brightspace. So if you would like to change that, you will need to manually do that. Quick links may be added in many different locations within Brightspace. So content, announcements, assignments, quizzes, discussions, anywhere that users have access to the Brightspace editor, they'll have options to pull in from their Google Drive. After students make a copy, they will need to sort the file in their own Google Drive. So just be mindful of that as well. So with those things in mind, some options that I have for you and when to use this are so students can view the file or navigate the file, as we talked about. Sometimes that you might want to use this is if students want to simply see something or read a piece of content. So if it is a writing piece or a presentation or something you would just like them to have a look at, but not make any changes to, that's when you can use those quick links and view or navigate the file. If you'd like students to edit the file, you can use this if you want all students to be able to collaborate. But again, use this carefully as all students will be able to see or edit each other's work. So use this only when you need to. And finally, making a copy for each student. So this option is used when you are sharing a file that is a template for the students that you want them to interact with and for them to have their own version of that to make their changes to. Okay, so with all of that information, I just wanted to share some upcoming webinars that we have. We have Understanding Brightspace for Parents for Principals next week. I just want to call out that if you are not a principal, this is still a really great webinar to go to. Teaches you a bit about Brightspace for Parents if that's something that your district uses. Next Wednesday, we have Building Your Class Community in Brightspace. And on Thursday, we have Building Your Teacher PD. I have some resources here for you, which will become clickable links once this is a live slide, and you can take a look at all of these great resources. If you're feeling like you need a little bit more Brightspace training or you're feeling a little bit confused about some of the things we've talked about today, I recommend you check out the Brightspace guided training, which is a free resource on our community. If you're not already set up within the Brightspace community, I encourage you to do so. We have a team from D2L dedicated on there to answering questions and helping out, as well as educators and principals on there asking and answering questions as well. And our guided training are free webinars as well as self-guided instructions for you to go through. Okay, with all of that, I want to thank you very much for joining me today. We are going to be taking some questions, and I'll let Puneet let me know if we have any, but thanks everyone very much.
Thank you so much, Bridget.